The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube. And on my blog, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you are encouraged to post your comments, whether you agree with yours truly or not. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio, we're syndicated to an additional 12 million households. I am your host, Gary Baumgarten. Welcome to the show. Well, there's a bill before the Congress right now, the House of Representatives, that was proposed by the Republicans. It's an alternative plan to President Obama's economic stimulus proposal. Yep, his first opportunity to go before Congress with a plan from the White House under the new administration and the Republicans, even before he went up on the Hill yesterday to talk to them, to extend his hand in bipartisanship. The leadership of the Republican Party said, vote no on this package. We're going to hastily bring one of our own to make it difficult for the president to get his package across. So much for the Congress coming together in this time of need. However, it is expected that it will pass today, later today, the president's $825 billion plan in the House of Representatives, and then it'll go to the U.S. Senate. And then if a bill is approved at the U.S. Senate, it'll go to a conference committee to work out the differences between the House and the U.S. Senate approved bills, and then a combined bill will be presented for approval, and it is expected that some form of what the president wants will be approved. Now, Wall Street rallied today on news that both the president was up on the Hill, tried to get this sorted out, and on news that the Fed was keeping the interest rates at close to 0%, the prime, here in the United States. That, in spite of the fact that there was some horrific news from Boeing reporting that they were going to slash jobs, totally not unexpected, of course. So while Wall Street is reacting positively to this, many people are not. And the reason they are not, of course, is because the bailout money, and this isn't bailout money, this is a stimulus plan, but the bailout money, at least the first round, as we all know, a lot of it didn't go where it was intended. For example, the financial institutions were supposed to take that money and free up the credit market and get more money circulating in the economy. Well, instead of that, they shored up their poor previous investments. They bought additional banks with that money. That's not what it was intended for. And in the case of Citigroup, they attempted to use money to purchase a $50 million corporate jet. Is there anybody home over there at Citi? Are you crazy? All right, whatever. The president put the kibosh to that one. But the point is that many people are dubious about where that money will go. Will it really go to repair the infrastructure and to improve medical record sharing so that if you live in Paducah, for example, and you get sick in Santa Barbara, for example, your medical records will be immediately available even to the paramedics who respond, or to the doctor you go to, or to the hospital that you go to. Will it really all go for that, or will it go for pork barrel and pet projects? How much of that money, for example, might go to Acorn, the community organizing group that supported the president in his campaign for office? These are all questions that make people a little bit concerned about what's going to happen with the stimulus plan. Now, the president says, we don't have a moment to spare. That's a direct quote on the stimulus plan. And he claims that it will not only be enormous in scope, but run with a transparency and accountability not always associated with huge Washington projects. Exactly speaking to the point that I just raised. Not because I just raised it, of course, he said it yesterday, but speaking to that point. It could be that it is not business as usual, and without question, the bailout money, the first round, was doled out during the Bush administration, and perhaps this new administration will learn from the mistakes then and ensure that there is transparency and the money goes where it is intended. And already I've heard that there are certain pet projects that are off the board because, even during the transition period, President Obama, then President-elect, went to the nation's mayors and governors and asked them to suggest to him where a stimulus package plan funds ought to go. And they came up with all these stupid pet projects like golf courses and zoos and stuff like that. That's off the table already right from the get. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens. Now, let me just speak before I turn the microphones over to those of you who are waiting to speak, and I see there are quite a number of people in queue, and I appreciate that, to the issue of the infrastructure of the United States, because the one thing that I like personally about the concept of what the president is attempting to do is that he wants to put the money, the bulk of it, into infrastructure repairs. And at least it's not just make work projects, because as we all know, the infrastructure of the United States is crumbling. We saw the tragic results of that in Minnesota when the interstate bridge over the Mississippi River collapsed, people died, and then they went out and started inspecting virtually every highway bridge in the United States and found that many were in substandard condition. So while you may be concerned when you get on a U.S. Airways jet that it might run into a flock of birds and have to land in the Hudson River, you may be more concerned about while you're driving along I-80 or I-75 that the interstate might collapse under you as you go over a river. It's a very serious issue, and coincidentally perhaps, civil engineers here in the United States have just issued a report. They believe that the nation's aging and rusty infrastructure is not making the grade. The American Society of Civil Engineers issued an infrastructure report card giving a bleak ranking of D, which, as we all know, is a failing grade. So at least the bulk of the money may go to the very important work of improving the infrastructure of the United States. Once again, to recap, Congress, the House today, is expected to approve along party lines an $825 billion stimulus plan that was proposed by the president. No support from the Republican leadership. Maybe individual Republicans will vote for it, but the leadership has put into the hopper a counter proposal that will go nowhere.